Can we start housekeeping, please?
Thank you for participating in today's meeting. If attending in person, please do not connect to Zoom or teleconference while in the room, and please silence all devices. If translation is provided, click on the
We've been having a few Wi-Fi difficulties, so hopefully we'll get it straightened out.
Thank you for participating in today's meeting. If attending in person, please do not connect to Zoom or teleconference while in the room, and please silence all devices. If translation is provided, click on the globe at the bottom of your screen to select either English or Spanish. Public comment will be taken after each item. If you're in the auditorium and wish to comment, please use the iPads located in the lobby or complete a blue speaker card as available. If you need assistance, please find a South Coast AQMD employee. Speakers may be limited to a total of 3 minutes or less for all agenda items. Times may be shortened to ensure all speakers can be heard. A countdown timer will be displayed on the screen for each public comment. More time will be allotted for Spanish translation that is not simultaneous. For questions or issues on making a public comment, please call the public advisor at 909-396-2432. That's 909-396-2432. Please adhere to the speaker time limit and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. Failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or you being removed from the meeting. Be aware that this meeting is being recorded. By participating, you authorize recording of audio and visual content presented during the live event and consent to subsequent use of the recording in the public domain by South Coast AQMD.
Gracias por participar en la reunión de hoy. Si asiste en persona, favor de no conectarse a la conferencia telefónica o Zoom mientras esté en el auditorio y silencie sus dispositivos. Si traducción es disponible, haga clic en el icono de globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla para seleccionar inglés o español. Se tomarán comentarios del público después de cada punto. Si se encuentra en el auditorio y desea dar comentario, utilice los iPads ubicados en el vestíbulo o complete una tarjeta azul según esté disponible. Si necesita ayuda, localice a un empleado de South Coast AQMD. Los comentarios pueden ser limitados a un total de 3 minutos o menos para todos los puntos de la agenda. El tiempo límite puede ser reducido para que todos los comentarios puedan ser escuchados. Se mostrará un temporizador de cuenta regresiva en la pantalla para cada comentario público. Se asignará más tiempo para traducción al español si no es simultáneo. Si tiene preguntas o problemas sobre cómo hacer un comentario público, llame al asesor público al 909-396-2432. 909-396-2432. Respete el tiempo límite y favor de tratar a los demás con cortesía, civilidad y respeto. De lo contrario, es posible que se silencie el micrófono o que sea retirado de la reunión. Tenga en cuenta que esta reunión está siendo grabada. Al participar, usted autoriza la grabación de audio y contenido visual presentado durante el evento en vivo y da su consentimiento para el uso de la grabación en el dominio público por parte de South Coast AQMD.
All right, good morning, everybody. Let's call the May meeting to order. Can we get, actually, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please, if you could, Supervisor.
Thank you very much. Would everyone please stand if you're able? Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you for that. Roll call, please.
Mayor Locke Dawson, here. Supervisor Hagman is absent. Mayor Pro Tem McCallan,
Here.
Supervisor Mitchell,
Present.
Supervisor Nguyen. Vice Mayor Olmos.
Here.
Board Member Padilla Campos is absent. Supervisor Perez is absent. Councilmember Rahman is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez is absent, but he's on his way. Vice Chair Caciotti,
Here, and Supervisor Perez is on his way.
thank you. And Chair Delgado,
Okay, thank you so much.
we have quorum.
All right. Board members, any comments or presentations you'd like to share?
Yes,
Vice Chair?
Chair, if possible, I would like to.
Oh, yes, please go ahead.
Absolutely. I think I have some slides if possible to share. Just wanted to give an update. The staff and I actually did a tour out on April 10th in the city of Calabasas. There was a request for us to go out and kind of take a look at the landfills, what was going on with the movement of the debris from the fire. We were together with the cities of Calabasas, Agora Hills, and Hidden Hills. And again, I just really want to say thank you to the staff for taking the time. They were very impressed. They thought it was just me coming. And then when I showed up with about 4 other staff members, they were really appreciative of that. But again, just a quick remark. So just thank you for this. I know that there's ongoing conversations, communications, education to the residents of the process of when they're smelling something, hearing something. So again, really quickly, just thank you to the staff. Appreciate your support on this.
Thank you. Vice Chair?
Nope.
No? Oh, hey, I'm gonna miss that. All right, any other board member comments? Okay, Wayne, no comments from you. Welcome back.
Thank you. Just a few comments. Just wanted to remind the board that at the April board meeting, hearing for items 11, 11, 11, 21 was set for the June 6th board meeting, so that's scheduled for next month. Also want to point out in your board packet that the Local Government Small Business Assistance Committee had wrote a letter to the board regarding 11, 11, 11, 21. That letter is included under agenda item number 18, Administrative Committee. Just wanted to make sure there was general awareness on that. And then also wanted to speak to the Governing Board Student Intern Program. We're excited to be welcoming 28 interns to the program. We have 2 tracks that will be accommodating 2 classes, if you will. A 10-week class that starts from May 27th to August 1, and an 8-week class that goes from June 10 to August 1. Also, just wanted to continue to remind the board that we continue to do air monitoring with regards to the Eden and Palisades fire, continue to do monitoring for both PM10, 2.5 data. The results indicate that everything is below federal standards. Most of the air toxic metals that we've identified are within background levels. We have seen some elevated levels, but they return back to background. So I think all indications are that the air quality should not be a concern based on the levels that we're seeing. But all this data can be viewed on our website, and we provide information on that. And that concludes my comments, Madam Chair.
And I just wanted to take a minute to congratulate Mayor Lock Dawson on getting her appointment to CARB. We look forward to seeing your involvement there. All right, so with that, we'll go to general public comment. And we have speakers that signed up in the blue card and also on the system. Is there a order that, I don't think it matters. Do you want to take those?
Yeah. First speaker, I know we have a stop time. A lot of people have to leave early. Do you want to read 2 minutes? Okay, we'll go for 2 minutes. These are people in the room. First one is Fernando Gaitan. Fernando, welcome and come forward. I don't see Fernando out there. Next one is Jesse.
Online.
He's online? Oh, okay. Fernando, are you on? Huh.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's go to the next speaker that are here. Is that okay? Next speaker is Jesse, is it Polk? Jesse Polk? Looks like a P-A-I-L-S or P-A-I-K-S. Next one is Delinier Leon. No, and there's another speaker, Jennifer Cardenas from the Sierra Club.
Those must be cards for another meeting. All right, we'll just put those away. There are 6 people here signed up on our system. Patrick Walsh. All right.
and gentlemen. I appreciate the time to speak this morning. I'm with Apex Logistics. Our America's headquarters is based in Southern California. We just started in 2024 the WARE program for Rule 2305. I wanted to talk on that a bit. So our business is air and ocean import and export. It's mainly driven by overseas for a lot of aircraft and things like that. We're non-asset based. And so what that means to us is that we don't own a lot of the trucks that go in and out of our facility. We don't own our buildings. We typically lease them because we have to be fast moving and react to the business, which is interesting at this point with the tariffs going on. But anyway, I just want to give you an idea of what we do and how this rule impacts us. So we are largely dependent on final mile shipments that leave our facilities and go outside of California, although it's not exclusive to that, but all of it is full, a lot of it is full truckload, and we can't take advantage of EV long distance trucks. It's just not in the scope right now for everybody. The max is 300 miles if you're lucky. So anyway, I'll keep, I'm running out of time, apparently. We would like to ask that we delay the 3% increase on this because we have tariffs going on right now.
That's one of the items. Some of the items increase.
I think that may be one of the items, is that? Okay, so you're gonna get a chance to speak on that again. So it's actually on the agenda, one of the public hearings. So, okay, Kevin Barker.
Good morning, Chair and Board. My name is Kevin Barker with SoCal Gas, and I'm here today to comment on Rules 1121. First and foremost, these amendments as drafted are regressive tax on low and moderate income Californians. Even with a carve out of funds for low-income consumers in the Go Zero program, consumers living paycheck to paycheck will not be able to take advantage of the incentives because they simply can't afford the high upfront costs of these appliances and expensive panel upgrades. The consumers who can afford these high costs will ultimately have a limited choice of appliances, as manufacturers will need to reduce the inventory of gas units over time in order to meet sales targets. It is clear that there is broad opposition from the public to these amendments that far outweighs the support. Finally, we have been told that South Coast Air Quality Management District needs to move forward with these amendments in order to receive SIP credit. CARB's recent withdrawal of the Bay Area's zero-emission appliance rules from the SIP suggests that CARB will not submit these rules either. That means that although California consumers who are least able to afford this will be forced to pay a regressive tax to replace their appliances, the district will not receive SIP credit for it. We urge the board to vote against the rules as written, develop a feasibility, fuel-neutral regulation that imposes lower NOx limits to protect consumer choice, still achieve meaningful emission reductions, and get SIP credit for the district. Thank you so much for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you for your comments. George Boutros.
Hello, good morning. My name is George Boutros. I'm with Orange County Business Council. I'm speaking in opposition to PARs 1111 and 1121 today. My organization, Orange County Business Council, is the leading voice for businesses committed to economic growth, workforce stability, and regional competitiveness. For months, OCBC has been actively engaged in discussions regarding these proposed amended rules. As we have stated in the past, these regulations would cost consumers in the four-county region billions of dollars over the course of the next decades, along with thousands of job losses throughout several years. The costs that will worsen California's affordability crisis particularly with working families and vulnerable communities, and comes at a time in which economic uncertainty is at an all-time high. Let me be clear, we strongly oppose proposed amended Rules 1111 and 1121. These imposed costs from these regulations will undoubtedly be passed on to renters and businesses, worsening Orange County's housing crisis and making it harder for working families to afford and live in Orange County. Employers already struggle to attract and retain workers due to the high cost of living. This will only drive more people out of Orange County and weaken our local workforce. Orange County Business Council supports environmental progress, but not at the cost and expense of affordability, job creation, and economic recovery. These rules, as written, will still do more harm than good. We ask AQMD to continue engaging with more stakeholders and the public to develop cost-effective and practical solutions that balance sustainability with the economic reality that we have here in Southern California. Thank you all for your time and consideration this morning.
Thank you for your comments. Thomas Jelinek.
Good morning, Chair Delgado, board members. My name is Thomas Jelinich with the Pacific Merchant Shipping Association, and I'm here to speak with you regarding the Port ISR. Thank you for your time. Last Friday, district staff held a workshop on the Port ISR. We really appreciate the discussion that we had during that workshop. We spent over 3 hours discussing the proposed concept and draft rule language. Unfortunately, there are still a lot of unanswered questions. As an example, we could not get a direct answer about whether or not district staff would be able to override the decisions of the Board of Harbor Commissioners on port development projects as it relates to the proposed rule. That's a really important aspect that's really important to understand, and to not have a clear answer on that today is concerning. And more broadly, we have some concerns about the public process. I shared with you a slide from the February 28th workshop. On that slide, you'll see that staff committed to a process. They included 2 in-person community meetings, which at least I take to mean down in the port community. Those meetings have not taken place yet. And as part of the schedule that's laid out here, those community meetings are supposed to take place prior to the beginning of formal rulemaking. I understand formal rulemaking is going to begin in just 2 weeks. And so what I'm really concerned about the schedule, the unanswered questions, and I'd ask you to direct staff to complete the public process they committed to as part of this effort before moving forward with formal rulemaking. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. Alejandra Ruiz.
Good morning, members of the South Coast AQMD board and agency staff. My name is Alejandra Ruiz, and I live in Ontario and work in San Bernardino as a statewide climate justice advocate at the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. I'm here today to voice my strong support for passing Rules 1111 and 1121. These rules are a crucial step towards ensuring that our communities, particularly those most vulnerable, no longer have to bear the brunt of deadly air pollution in their homes. In fact, Latino communities are hit hardest by pollution with 14% more exposure than others. I urge you to take the necessary steps to strengthen these standards and encourage full compliance because our health is on the line. I've seen firsthand the toll that this pollution takes on my community's health, such as having asthma or other respiratory illnesses. No family should have to choose between breathing clean air and living in a healthy home. The time to act is now. We cannot keep allowing pollution to harm our families. I ask you to pass these rules and do everything in your power to protect public health and create a more sustainable future for all of us. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alejandra. After our next speaker, which is Ezekiel Franco, we will be cutting off public comment. So if you want to speak, raise your hand now because we're cutting off public comment after he finishes. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, members of South Coast and agency staff. I'm here to testify today to voice my support for you to pass rules 1111 and 1121. Personally, um, sorry, this is my first time ever addressing a board like this. So I want to talk from a personal point. I'm a resident in Ontario. And if you just pause for a moment and you take a deep breath, you can right away see the impact of what that has in your system. And I've seen that we haven't really taken steps towards bettering our environment and the air that we breathe. It's mainly just how is this going to impact our economic system? And we believe that that's where emotional instability comes from, where people can feel like they're thriving. But anybody that's casually at least investigated their breath, they will right away see that it's very important. My partner here just shared um, how she's seen the impact in the community with asthma and things like that. So I'm just sharing how I am here to support it, and I would appreciate if you took note of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to the Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Staff, I just want to get a number. I see a number of hands raised. How many hands are raised at this point? And public comment is now cut off?
20.
So we're going to reduce the time. Unfortunately, some of our board members have to leave early, and we want to have everybody vote. So we're going to reduce public comment to 1 minute. So our first speaker is, and public comment is now cut off, to Aurora Vasquez, 1 minute. Thank you and welcome.
Good morning, members, and good morning, Madam President and Vice Chair. My name is Aura Vasquez. I'm a community organizer. I'm an environmental advocate, and I'm a former commissioner for the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. I'm here today to strongly urge you to pass Rules 1111 and 1121 without delay. These rules are not just a policy issue. They're deeply personally for me. I'm a renter. I'm a low-income person. I'm an Afro-Latina. I'm an immigrant. And whoever came to this meeting to tell you that this doesn't matter to us and doesn't affect us is lying. I understand it's difficult to make these decisions, but appliances in my home and in many of our communities are really hindering our health and our environment. And I ask you today to please pass these rules and think about us that have to breathe the air and that have to live in communities and in neighborhoods where we already are burdened with pollution. Thank you so much.
Fernando Gaitan, welcome, Fernando.
Good morning, Fernando Gaitan with Earth Justice. We are living in the moment where disinformation campaigns are unraveling decades of sound policy across this country, policies that were put in place to protect public health, civil rights, and our shared environment. Unfortunately, we're seeing that very similar pattern unfold at this very agency with baseless claims, repeated loudly and often, are starting to crowd out the truth. Now, let me be clear about that truth. The rules and regulations that this agency develops matter very much. They have helped us make great strides in protecting public health. We cannot cede this agency's authority to build on that legacy. One such set of rules are Rules 1111 and 1121. This board must adopt those this year without further delay. Those 6 tons of NOx per day at stake are nothing to leave on the table. And also, with respect to the indirect source rule at the ports, I urge the board to stay the course. In terms of community outreach, AB 617 communities and environmental justice communities have called for these rules for decades. It's time to get them passed.
Thank you, Fernando. Next speaker is Fernando Marquez Duarte. Fernando, go ahead, please. Looks like we lost him. Next speaker is DeForest Barnett. DeForest, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. My name is DeForest Barnett. I'm a Riverside resident and I'm with the Center for Community Action and Environmental Justice. I just want to speak in support of Rules 1111 and Rules 1121. They need to be passed immediately. The nitrogen oxide emissions they regulate contribute to this being one of possibly even the most polluted region in the country when it comes to air pollution, and as a reason that the residents here are some of the unhealthiest people in the entire country. The cost of not passing these rules is going to be much higher to low-income people here than the cost of passing them. And thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Chris Chavez. Welcome, Chris.
Yes, good morning. Chris Chavez, Deputy Policy Director at Coalition for Clean Air. First, want to state our continued support for Rule 1111 and 1121. Again, let's remember that all this rule does is establish some de minimis fees to fund an incentive program. There's no gas bans, there's no requirement on consumers, there's no requirement for panel upgrades or infrastructure upgrades. All this is to fund an incentive program. So the idea that this fee is going to bankrupt somebody, even though this is something that they may only pay once every 20 years. And this fee is also completely avoidable for as well, is bogus. It's not going to ruin anybody. It's not going to ruin the cost of living in Southern California. Also, just want to remind folks relating to the ports, we're no longer talking about an ISR. We're talking about an infrastructure plan. We need port action. We need action on the ports, and we need it today. So thank you so much for your time, and urge the district to continue on your course.
Thanks, Chris. Next speaker is Laura Rosenberger Heider. Laura, go ahead, please.
Well, my name is Laura Rosenberger Heider, Secretary of Residents Against Fracking. Please pass Rules 1111 and 1121 because the natural gas infrastructure is expensive to maintain well enough to prevent the accidents of the past, like the explosion in Merrimack, Massachusetts that put 40 homes on fire, the Ventura compressor station blowouts, and the explosion at Aliso Canyon natural gas storage. The problem of leaking pipelines coming from natural gas wells would be worse with the federal deregulation that's expected. There is earthquake risk here that could damage well casings and pipes, as happened in the Permian oil and gas fields. A 2022 study of methane emissions from natural gas gathering pipelines in the Permian Basin found leakage rates 14 to 52 times higher than the US EPA's national estimate for gathering. This is what could happen after deregulation. And a 2017 study also identified.
Next speaker is Thurl Golden. Welcome, Thurl.
Good morning. Thank you. I would like to speak in support of staff keeping it on the port's indirect source rule to keep its current schedule and move forward. The people of these communities have suffered long enough with the negative impacts from this port's pollution. And I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Thurl. Always good to hear your voice. Next is Al Sadler. Al, go ahead, please. Al, you're muted.
Sorry. Okay. I'd like to express strong support for Rules 1111 and 1121. Studies have shown that that heat pump HVAC systems save consumers each year compared to natural gas heating. And this is especially important for those who are living in the more ozone afflicted areas of LA and San Bernardino County. I spent years in the San Gabriel Valley and appreciated just how much trouble it can be to inhale when the ozone is bad. I'd also like to express support for Port ISR. That's another issue where people downwind are suffering the consequences, as Mr. Golden said. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thanks, Al. Next is Cecile DeRoll. Cecile, go ahead, please.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Cecile DeRoll. I'm a third-year public policy major, minoring in political science at the University of California, Riverside, and I'm here today with the People's Collective for Environmental Justice to urge you to advance Rules 1111 and 1121. As a student living in Riverside, I've seen firsthand how air quality impacts my daily life. There are days when my throat hurts from just walking to class, and friends of mine with asthma cannot go outside. And while a lot of attention rightfully goes to pollution from the logistics industry, it's important to remember that pollution also comes from inside our homes. Rules 1111 and 1121 are by no means radical. It is a common sense step forward towards building healthier communities and homes. It doesn't require anyone to replace their current appliances overnight. Instead, it's a rule that creates a clear and achievable timeline for a transition to cleaner, zero-emission appliances options for consumers. And here in the Inland Empire, taking this step is even more critical. I urge the board to plan for a cleaner future and adopt Rules 1111 and 1121. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tony Serna. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Tony Serna, Deputy Policy Director from Evergreen Action. I'm here to express strong support of Rules 1111 and 1121. These rules are essential for improving the air quality in the region and should not be delayed. I urge you to pass these rules as scheduled in June without further delay. Recent studies have shown that the vast majority of California households will save money on their utility bills when they upgrade their water heaters and furnaces to electric. Despite what some are claiming, these rules will help households in the district to save money. In addition, these rules will improve our health, a positive benefit in and of itself, and also another source of monetary savings on medical bills and lost wages. I appreciate the staff and board's incredible work on these policies that will improve our community's health and well-being. Please stay on track and pass these rules in June without further delay. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Next is Azerli Bedoya.
Hi, my name is Azarelli. I'm a resident of Riverside, California, and a fellow at CCAEJ. I'm here to voice my strong support for Rules 1111 and 1121 today. I believe that these rules are a critical step towards reducing the harmful air pollutants that is already a burden to many residents of this region. This year, LA and Long Beach have been successful in passing similar rules. We should look to them as models to transition away from dirty fossil fuels. And we should adopt technologies that are pollution-free, safer, and made affordable and accessible through a program like Go Zero. Passing these rules would be an investment in the health and in the future of residents of the South Coast. I personally have family members who suffer from asthma, often leaving them debilitated and unable to breathe. So it's super scary to know that appliances that we rely on daily are producing these toxins in our homes. And I urge you to please pass these rules. Thank you.
Thanks, Azarelli. Next is Pete Marsh. Welcome, Pete.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board, staff. My name is Pete Marsh, community member from Long Beach, and here to express strong support for Rules 1111 and 1121. We heard today continued opposition from SoCal Gas despite their extraordinary success in gutting the efficacy of these rules. And we're still clinging to the hope that the rules as structured might reduce 6 tons per day of NOx. These fees are so low as to not make any significant effect on consumer purchasing behavior. My prediction is we won't even get 1 ton per day of NOx reduction. The rules have been gutted, yet they continue to oppose and to recruit all their business allies to oppose. Please pass the rules in their weakened form. And
thank you, Pete. Next one is Ayin Krasian. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm Creation with Climate Action Campaign in Orange County, commenting on Rules 1111 and 1121. We want to point out that SoCal Gas has almost unlimited resources to participate in these meetings and pay lobbyists to advocate here and at every city council in the region because they use our ratepayer dollars to do it. And we've seen this again and again. So the board should keep that in mind as they hear this advocacy. Also, we point out AQMD is off track for reaching federal air quality mandates and standards. And while diesel trucks at ports and warehouses are the dirtiest source of polluted air, now thanks to the Trump administration, they can't get funds to electrify these dirty diesel trucks. And this makes the clean heat rule all that much more critical. So, so we'd appreciate you passing this rule as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tomas Castro. Tomas.
Good morning, board members. My name is Tomas. I'm an organizer with Climate Action Campaign and resident of Irvine. I'm here to demand that the board strengthen and pass Rules 1111 and 1121 without further delay. Throughout this process, the gas industry has made it perfectly clear they are unwilling to compromise with board members and activists who simply want to protect the public health of their communities. Time and again, we have delayed voting on these rules, watered them down due to industry demands, only for them to continue whining about the new version. The time has come to put our communities first, increase the mitigation fee, and pass the rules in June. I ask this board, do you wish to waste more time while people die needlessly, or act now to clean up our air? Thank you.
Thank you, Tomas. Next is David Martinez.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is David Martinez. I'm with Climate Action Campaign and I live in Orange County. I'm here to ask that you support strengthening and adopting rules 1111 and 1121. These are rules that will cut air pollution from gas appliances and will improve air quality and will save lives. Our current levels of air pollution cause thousands of asthma attacks, billions in health costs, and hundreds of premature deaths. These are rules that can reduce 6 tons of NOx emissions per day, and these are rules that will save millions of dollars according to your own socioeconomic impact assessment. Opponents of the rules do not speak for the people. We want strong, clean air rules. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Next is Wynn Tucker.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Wynn Tucker, Director, Policy and Innovation at the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative, speaking about proposed rules 1111 and 1121. I want to express appreciation to the board and staff for your continued work on these rules and to reaffirm our support for improving air quality and enhancing public health within the South Coast region through reductions in NOx emissions. I also want to uplift the staff socioeconomic report just mentioned, showing that these rules, as proposed, would result in net job creation, net savings of hundreds of millions of dollars per year, and net public health benefits of billions of dollars per year. Most of all, they achieve necessary NOx reductions to improve air quality in the region, bring relief to residents. This will result in healthier communities, fewer trips to the hospital due to respiratory diseases, fewer missed school and work days, and that's the North Star here. If anything, we encourage these rules to be strengthened to further improve air quality and achieve much needed health benefits with common sense guardrails. So we support the strengthening and passing of these rules. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Angel.
Hello, good morning, members of the board. My name is Angel Teo. I am a student at UC Riverside with People's Collective for Environmental Justice, and I would like to speak in strong support of the proposed rules 1111 and 1121. As an environmental studies student and current resident of Riverside, a region in which the cost of air contamination is felt deeply and personally within each person's physical body, I care deeply about building safer communities with a foundation of environmental equity. The presence of gas burning equipment in houses and essential home spaces makes it impossible for people to avoid breathing contaminated air daily, even if they attempt to take precautions or mitigation measures at work and school. Pollutants like fine particulate matter and nitrogen oxides are associated with asthma and respiratory disease, cell damage, and early mortality. Knowing the adverse impact of their technology on homes with gas pumps, as well as the disproportionate effects on working class Black and brown households, manufacturers should bear the responsibility of this transition, and I urge the board to pass proposed rules 1111 and 1121. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last speaker, you have 1 minute, Gary Tavishian. Gary, go ahead, please.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, this is Gary Taviton. I've lived in LA since the 1960s where the air was absolutely horrible. Thanks to the good work, I think, of EPA and CARB and South Coast, it's now simply unhealthful. My question is, are we ever going to have healthy air? Are we ever going to breathe healthy air in this area? Rules 1111 and 1121 are at least good steps in that direction. I understand the rules are now a little bit more gradualist than I would like to see, but it's an improvement. You've heard arguments today and throughout that are kind of typical of the polluting community saying, oh, we need more time to study, we need more time to compromise, and let's weigh economics versus public health. Those are two tired arguments. 1111 and 1121 have been around and studied for long enough. We don't need to wait any longer. We don't need to delay. And second, weighing someone's economic benefit versus the cost of public health is simply ridiculous. It has to stop. For the economic and health benefits of the community, we need to pass these rules. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to consent and board calendar, items 1 through 24. We do have a number of speakers who've signed up, but before that, I'll take any board member comments or statements that need to be made. Councilmember Rahman.
If we're voting on agenda item number 11 as well now, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so I don't have a financial interest in this item, but I am required to identify for the record that I'm a council member for the city of LA, which is involved in this item. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Supervisor Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to recuse myself from item 8 because of financial interest in Zoom Video Inc., which is materially affected by this item.
Oh.
And then, Madam Chair, can we make comments on all the others, or do we have to pull the items?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So number 2, I know that we're setting the public hearing for this, and I've got several questions I can ask staff after, but some of the things that I've noticed and what some of the concerns we've received is that this rule could be overly prescriptive and has side effects on the UV, EB, LED industry. It could also create safety risk using acetone on electrical equipment. It could also risk water quality, as UV is also used in water treatment. And it also has a burdensome reporting requirements. And so I'm asking staff is, as you move forward with the public hearing, is if you can work with the selected industry with these unique issues to find out if there's a way we can have a win-win solutions for everybody.
We'll reach out to Ms. Loof.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And then, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
A couple more, Madam Chair. In terms of the legislative, can I, for number 1 and number 4, I have, let's see, I would like to record an opposed for number 1 and a support for number 4, legislative item.
Is that
agenda item?
Is that AB 605 and AB SB 712?
Yes.
Okay.
That's item 19. And then on 20s.
Bills.
Oh, that's it. That's it for all the way to 24. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other board member disclosures or comments? Okay, so I'm going to start with public comment here in the room. It'll be 2 minutes for all public general comment. Consent calendar. There's somebody who signed up as Hills for item number 2. Okay, I don't. Morning.
Good morning. My name is Margie Hills. I live in Brea, and I am vice chair of the Sierra Club San Angeles chapter. And I'm here today to express my support, as well as Sierra Club support, for the passage of Rules 1111 and 1121 without further delays. These rules will help improve air quality in the South Coast Air Basin and reduce respiratory illness due to breathing toxic fumes from gas burning furnaces and fire
for item
heaters.
number 2 or?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is, it's spelled DALINEF. I'm afraid I'm going to mispronounce that. And you signed up for 2 items on the consent calendar. You have 2 minutes. Leon is the last name. Let's try Uma. Funk? Nope. Jennifer Cardenas? Okay, just pretending. What do you want to go online?
Yeah. So online, our virtual speakers, we'll start with, we have 2 minutes, Madam Chair. First one is Rita Loof. Rita, go ahead, please.
Good morning. Rita Louv, Director of Environmental Affairs for RATIC International. RATIC is the premier trade association for light and energy curing technology, UV, EV, LED. We speak on behalf of our over 800 members who are involved in a myriad of industry sectors, ranging from printing and packaging to nail polish. Our processes are all electric, eliminating the need for add-on control devices, preventing emissions of NOx and greenhouse gases. Our products are not formulated with conventional solvents, and therefore VOC emissions are negligible. They are free of toxic materials and are considered super compliant as they go above and beyond current rule requirements. And I want to clarify that Rule 1171 purports to target PCBTF and TBAC. We do not have those chemicals. Unfortunately, we cannot support the current Rule 1171 proposal because it needlessly saddles our industry with burdensome requirements that do not result in any benefit to air quality. We strongly oppose the new additional requirements for reporting, record keeping, and labeling. Additionally, acetone-based cleaners are highly flammable, and since UV, EV, LED equipment is electrical, any spark can lead to devastating fires, not only for the facility, but for the community at large. Waterborne materials also have safety issues. Water and electricity simply do not mix. This presents a fire hazard and risk to workers. We humbly ask for the previous exemptions for UV, EV, LED to be restored. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Next speaker is Perry Katzman. Go ahead, Perry.
Good morning. My name is Perry Katzman, and I'm representing the International Ultraviolet Association. IEVA is a nonprofit organization for UV disinfection technology. Public agencies like the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power employ UV water treatment because it is a chemical-free alternative that does not leave chemical residues behind. The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power is currently completing a UV plant that will treat water entering LA's water distribution system. Keeping UV lamps clean is essential for optimal performance. This rule will force agencies to experiment with new cleaners and interfere with their ability to deliver pure, clean, refreshing tap water in an efficient and publicly responsible manner. We respectfully request that the water treatment agencies using UV for water disinfection operations be allowed an exemption to protect Southern California's drinking water and public health. Thank you.
Thanks, Perry. Next speaker is Howard Regan. Go ahead, Howard. Howard, you're muted.
Good morning. I'm Howard Reagan. I'm a partner with UV Specialties, LLC. We have clients domestically and including Southern California who utilize UV coatings in their processes. I just want to amplify what's already been said by the two previous speakers. Clearly, acetone in our environment is a serious health and performance threat in that it is highly flammable and can create serious conditions in a plant with UV. But more importantly, the move toward water-based cleaners. Water is not a friend to UV. For the most part, the materials used in the products we manufacture and most manufacture are not soluble in water, so water does not effectively clean either the lamps or the equipment. Compounding that, we find that in using materials that do contain water, that the performance of the equipment is negatively impacted, both downtime and waste. So we are seeking an exemption, as you heard earlier, to 1171 for materials associated with the UV process. And I think you'll find there are alternatives that, while being a little higher in VOC, as a total reduction in VOC by use of the technology, I believe you'll find that an effective answer is out there. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard. Our final speaker is Al Sattler. Al, go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning. I'd like you to, with regard to item number 19, legislative, I would like you to take a really good look at AB 306. It's important to be able to move ahead on housing, but we need to be smart about it. This would block all, essentially all new code for about until 31, and we need to be able to at least get some energy efficient measures in there, in particular having heat pump for space and water heating for new construction be required. This is a very important building code improvement, and I hope that you will seek to have an amendment to that effect in AB 306. Thank you. I yield back the rest of my time.
Thank you. There was somebody here whose name I called. Come, you can. Okay, come on in.
Stali Neff, and I'm a frontline community member in the Inland Empire. I know my mayor has opposed this rule, but to be honest, she's the same representative that has allowed warehouses next to schools and other sensitive receptors. I'm here in support of you all to finally pass Rules 1111 and 1121 with no further delays. Don't allow polluters to weaponize low-wealth communities. You can do what my representative has not done for my community, and that is ensure our air quality improves. I also want to remind you all to pass the Port ISR. Thank you.
So, I mean, is it technically mobile source? No, right? Or stationary source?
We did sign up for stationary source and mobile source, but our names came up, so we didn't know what happened.
Okay, we'll allow one more.
Hello, my name is Uma, and I'm a student at Cal Poly Pomona. I'm here to speak in support on Rules 1111 and 1121. The staff of the Stationary Source Committee has done an amazing job debunking misinformation. The committee these rules will be life-saving and will improve air quality. The air quality crisis in Southern California disproportionately impacts communities of color. You cannot leave these communities behind. Everyone deserves clean air, and the Go Zero program will make it more affordable for low-wealth communities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Jennifer?
So hi, everyone. Thank you for giving us your time. My name is Jennifer Cardenas. I'm a campaign organizer with the Sierra Club. We did sign up for the stationary source and mobile source public comment section because we've been following it. We've been going to these meetings either online or in person. And we're here today because we want to ensure that you all remember not to delay these rules. Rule 1111 and 1121 has faced tremendous opposition and misinformation. But the staff has done an amazing job going to different cities, going to different communities and informing them. They have a really great fact sheet, by the way. And if you still need more information, they're more than happy to answer because they've been able to answer our questions. So we're here to remind you that stay on track, vote yes on 1111, 1121. And the Port ISR has also seen tremendous pushback. But again, these frontline communities are facing some of the worst air quality. I can show you the data, but you all have it. We're here as a reminder that we're gonna keep showing up. We're gonna keep coming back. We're gonna be at your stationary meetings, your mobile source meetings, any other event where you are all located so that we can continue to remind you why it's important for air quality to be improved in these communities. Frontline community members face cancer, asthma. And the next time, if you don't have someone that's 5 years old that you have to show them how to use an inhaler, congratulations, because a lot of my community doesn't have that opportunity. I, as an organizer, meet people all the time telling me how they have to teach their children how to use inhalers, how to ensure that air quality is good enough for them outside the house. The Port ISR will do that, and 1111 and 1121 will do that for the inside of their home. You are creating end-to-end protection by passing these rules. Don't delay. We want to see you in June vote yes, and we want to see you in August vote yes. Thank you for your time.
Okay, that concludes the speakers for consent and board calendar. Go ahead, Supervisor.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I stated the number wrong in item 19. I said AB 606, it's actually AB 605, and I meant to support the bill, not to oppose the bill. So I want to record a record of supporting AB 605 and also SB 712. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem McCallum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could we have staff respond to the 1171 comments?
So this is set hearing, and so we'll have 30 days to work through any concerns and issues, but please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. So, we are working with stakeholders on these issues. Some of these issues have come up very late in the process, but I'll remind that the focus of this rulemaking really is to eliminate the toxic components that are part of these formulations. Again, we will continue to work with the stakeholders and address their concerns.
What about the water districts?
Yes, thank you for the question. We have been working with the utilities, actually DWP and the Metropolitan Water District. As a matter of fact, it was with those agencies that we established the proposed usage limits for those. I will admit they did say that in the future, they might have some increased usage of that, but it's just unknown at this time. So we did say that we could go back and revisit at that future date if those areas end up becoming an increased usage.
Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Perez.
Trying to find it here. Yeah, I wonder if I can get an update on the SB 712 regarding the classic cars and the I guess the exemption, full exemption of a smog check.
Yeah, Mr. Crab will provide the update. Phil?
Good morning. That bill is in appropriations. It's moving through the process. So it's pending, let me just double check here. But it's pending the appropriation suspense file.
Okay, but what did we decided, at least in the committee, the staff recommended an opposition. And then we had some dialogue on that. And then I guess at the end, it came out as opposed unless amended. And I don't recall what the amendment was that we were requesting. Do you all remember?
I think it was not specified in Ledge Committee, the specific amendments, except to say that it was okay to have smog check being allowed for classic cars, but, with some allowable, requirements. And so we're working with the author's office and trying to formulate what that could be.
All right, so she wanted a full exemption versus what currently happens now, which is there are some smog check requirements already. And she was asking for a full exemption. So what I'm saying is that let's just leave it as is. In other words, the conversation with the Assemblywoman or Senator Grove should be that we should leave that idea of classic cars now moving to an exemption, full exemption. Not necessarily agree with that, but obviously we don't want to not have any type of check. Currently, it's working as it is because, it's been working, I guess, unless people don't feel like it has, but What I'm trying to preserve here is the fact that classic cars are important to a cultural, historical significance of American society, whether that be, roadsters, or whether that be muscle cars, or for that matter, whether that be lowriders. And so why don't we just keep it as it already is, because it seems to be working. That's my point. And I think that's the message that we got to carry to her, because if she wants a full exemption, that's going to be an issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think that was actually the basis for the original opposition that was expressed by CAPCOA, all of the California Air Pollution Control Districts, because they were looking for a rolling exemption that would increase the number of cars that would not be necessary to have smog check. So I think what you're asking for, Supervisor, keep it as is. That
because that's already
supports the
working.
opposed position, but still work with the author to let them understand that and see if they're willing to keep at least that portion. I think that was the basis, and we could talk to them.
It meets folks halfway.
Right.
All right, board members, we have 1 hour before we start losing members, and we're on consent. So, Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to clarify on AB 605 support regarding item 19 and SB 712 support. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Mitchell?
Thank you. And your point is taken, Madam Chair, but as I understand it, Supervisor, to oppose SB 712 is to maintain the status quo, which is what you were asking. And so I would support that. Yeah, you're right. As our former colleague would say, this looks like it's a solution looking for a problem. There is no problem.
There is no problem.
Right. But furthermore, I would be curious if the bill goes forward, that there should be a distinction between a collector car and a classic car versus a car that's merely over 35 years old. I have a car that's over 35 years old that's not a classic car. So I think there should make it, there should be a distinction if the bill goes forward. Thank you.
Okay.
As you mentioned to me once, Supervisor Mitchell. As you mentioned to me once, Supervisor Mitchell, we'll go take care of that issue.
Right.
Okay.
So I get a small check.
Supervisor Wynn?
When I read the bill, what I saw, it was very specific. It's the rolling exemption, because currently the smog check requirements are getting so expensive and overburdensome for a lot of these classic cars. And this bill is just to reinstate the rolling exemption for vehicles that are truly classic, which, as Supervisor Mitchell mentioned, at least 35 years old. And so, I mean, I guess we could maybe ask to have her define what 35 years old cars means, to then give that exemption. But I think that's what the intent of the bill is just to really narrow down to those specific cars, so that it, trying to meet the mandate of the smog check, because it's ever evolving and changing process. And some of these cars, it's getting more and more difficult for it. So that's because but the other thing is that classic cars are not driven every day. Most of these classic cars, they come out, once a week, maybe, if they go to a car show, or, most of them sit in a museum or in someone's garage. So these cars are not the one that are, causing all the smogs and et cetera, of like other cars that are driven every day. And so that's what I believe, reading the bill, having read the bill, is probably the intention of the author.
Okay. Last comment, Vice Chair Castro.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I did indicate at the Legislative Committee that I prosecuted auto repair dealers and smog check stations for 20 years. This is a significant health problem. These cars are super polluters. As the supervisor said, they may use them several times a year, but I've been through so many 4th of July parades where I had to walk in a parade with my electric lawnmower, electric leaf blower behind a polluting car for about an hour and a half and inhale that diesel. Or you're going down the street, one of those polluting cars happens to be ahead of you and you have to walk behind it and you inhale that diesel particulate matter, nitric oxide, carbon monoxide. These are super polluters. We were trying to get a specification from staff, how many of these were actually out there. They gave us the number, but they were supposed to find out. These are significant. I agree there should be exemption if they only drive, a couple hundred miles a year or 1,000 miles, but there's many out there all the time. And again, look what we're testing. This is why we have smog checks. These are serious sources of pollution. And there's so many that try to get around this. I prosecuted hundreds that tried to beat the system, and they lost their license.
Can I get a motion or recommendation on consent?
Move approval.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second. Can we get a roll call vote, please? This is for consent calendar, items 1 through 24. No more. Yeah.
Sure, exactly what we're asking for. Are we
We're gonna leave
saying
it alone.
oppose if we go full exemption and leave it as is? Because those vehicles already are being smog checked, which I'm okay with. Rather than going a full exemption, is that what we're saying?
Let's have Wayne clarify that one for us.
Because that's where we're at right now, and I'd rather just do that.
Well, right now, the position is oppose unless amended, and the
Amended to?
direction, I'm sorry?
Amended to what?
The amendment, I think, has to address the rolling exemption. Part of the concern is that, as I understand it, the rolling exemption would increase the universe of cars that wouldn't have to be subject to the smog test, and thereby increasing the number of cars that would have the potential for high polluting concerns. That's the basis for CAPCOA's opposition, is that it increases the number of cars without any appropriate justification, as I understand it. Lisa is here. Lisa, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, that's absolutely correct.
And so, unfortunately, I wasn't at Ledge Committee, but my understanding is the direction given to staff at the committee meeting was to go back to the author to see if they'd be willing to work and help better define whether it's model year or some other aspect that we could look at, and perhaps to do away with the rolling exemption. Part of the argument has been on parts availability, things like that.
Yeah.
But we still need to be able to prioritize from an air district perspective, the air quality benefits and the requirements that are imposed on other cars as well.
And I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Okay, and the tally on the vote. I don't, not that I don't want to hear this discussion, it's just, I'm sensitive to losing the quorum. Somebody still thinking?
It's me, I'm sorry. I voted, but I didn't lock it in.
Okay.
I apologize. I was.
All right. Okay, and I know, Wayne, we're going to take some of the items out of order a little bit. Can you guide us through that, please?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll move next to item number 27. Determine the proposed amendments to Reg 3. Fees are exempt from CEQA. Amend Reg 3. Fees and adopt the executive officer's budget, proposed goal and priority objectives, and proposed budget for fiscal year 2025-2026. And Sujata Jain will be presenting.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members of the board. Sujata Jain, Chief Financial Officer. So this is our presentation on the proposed goals and priority objectives, the general fund, and staff's proposal for the budget and proposed amendments to Reg 3 for fiscal year 25-26. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So our mission statement is got 3 goals and 21 priority objectives. Next slide. And the mission statement is to clean the air and protect the health of all residents in the South Coast Air District through practical and innovative strategies. Next slide. And our goal 1 is to achieve clean air standards. And we have 9 priority objectives over here. So the first one is to develop and implement the air quality management plan. And the performance measurement for that is to complete 6
rule adoptions and/or actions that result in achievement towards 2016 and 2022 AQMD and 2024 particulate matter plan emission reduction. Number 2 is to secure incentive funding for emission reductions. And the performance measurement is to maintain funding received on or before fiscal year 25-26. Number 3 is implementation of, excuse me, Community Emission Reduction Plan SERPs for Assembly Bill 617 and for designated communities. And this has 5 metrics. And the first one is 4 quarterly community, excuse me, I need to get my water. Sorry. So this has 5 metrics, and the first one is 4 quarterly community steering committees, which is CSC meetings for each designated community. Second is 1 community outreach relation and engagement event for designated communities. The third is to progress and percentage completion for SERP actions, items for each designated community. And fourth is to complete and release for CSC and public comments and submit CARB, annual progress reports. And the last is update the SERP implementation dashboard quarterly for 6 AB 617 designated communities. Next slide, please. So number 4 is to ensure efficient air monitoring and lab operations. And the performance measure for that is achieve acceptable valid data completion submitted to US EPA before deadline. And number 5 is our timely inspection for facilities. And basically over here, the goal is to complete 100% of Title V inspections. And in the first and second quarter, it is that they do a lot of time is spent on reviewing the data and conducting field operations. And then the third and fourth quarter, those inspections are completed, and 100% of those are completed. Next slide, please. Number 6 is implement permitting enhancement program, which is PEP. And the performance measurement for that is to have semi-annual updates to the board on key elements of PEP that include but are not limited to reduction in the permit backlog and the production rate, development of new paperless online permitting system, and an enhancement to the certified permitting proposals, which is CPP program. And the number 7 is support development of cleaner advanced technologies. And the performance measurement there is to fund 10 million of clean technology projects. And 8 is incentive programs. And the performance measurement there is initiate implementation within 6 months of grant award. And the last one in this goal is to conduct the MATE 6. And this has 4 performance measurements. Begin monitoring air toxics and other pollutants at 10 fixed sites of MATES. And number 2 is commence monitoring to evaluate background for ethylene oxide levels. And number 3 is develop public outreach plans for releasing MATES data. And lastly, present updates to Mobile Source Committee. Next slide, please. So this is goal 2, and it has 6 priority objectives. The first is evaluation of low-cost air quality sensors. And the performance measurement here is to evaluate and post results of 75% of sensors that have reached the market. And number 2 is outreach. And we have 2 performance measurements over here. First is to conduct or participate in 4 community outreach events, including 1 in each county. The second is to conduct 6 in-person community engagement events, such as critical community conversations for purposeful outreach, which is C3PO, and listening sessions. And third is timely investigations of community complaints, and to contact 100% of complainants by the close of business on the next business day is the performance measurement for that. Next slide, please. And the next one is on social media efforts. And the performance measurement here is to continue efforts to increase impressions and engagements on posts and/or campaigns, with a monthly average goal is 4,000 LinkedIn impressions, 2,400 Instagram impressions, 8,000 Facebook impressions, and 48,000 X impressions on post. And 5 is school education outreach. And here we are trying to do an outreach to 100 K-12 schools, youth groups, and other organizations in all 4 counties to provide WAMS and CAPES curriculum, host one Earth Day webinar for elementary schools, and one for middle and high schools featuring WAM and CAPES curriculum. And the last one on this goal is interagency coordination. And the performance measurement for that is to conduct and participate in at least one interagency coordination meeting per quarter, continue efforts to improve information sharing, and conduct joint investigations with other governmental agencies, as well as streamline referral procedures. Next slide, please. And so goal 3, again, has 3 priority objectives. And the first 2 are actually for ensuring transparent governance, but the first one's performance measurement is to provide 100% of committee and board meeting agendas with materials made available to the public 1 week prior to the meeting. And the second one is to provide 100% of stakeholder and working group meeting agendas with materials made available to the public 3 days before the meeting. The third is to partner with stakeholder groups and business communities, and the performance measurement is to conduct 6 total public meetings with permit streamlining task force subcommittee and/or with public permitting stakeholders. Next slide, please. Number 4 is timely financial monitoring, and the performance measurement here is to submit quarterly budgetary financial reports to the governing board within 6 working days of the end of the quarter for the quarters 1 to 3. And for the 4th quarter, the report will be provided within 6 working days after the end of July. And number 5 here is to facilitate ongoing engagement with employee resource groups, ERGs, and the performance measurement is 9 ERG meetings and 1 annual all ERG meeting. And the last one is on staffing, and it is to fill positions to reduce the vacancy. And performance measurement is to initiate the recruitment process such that all positions were filled. The vacancy rate would be 13%, which is our budgeted vacancy rate. Next slide, please. So this is our budget section of the presentation. And for the fiscal year, so this is just a comparison of our fiscal year 24-25 budget and what we are proposing for 25-26. So just as a background, our 24-25 budget, the revenues were $209.5 million and program costs was $211.4 million for a use of $1.9 million from our reserves. There were some amendments during the year, and we estimate to end the year at $213.6 million from revenues and costs at $219.7 for $6.1 million use of reserves. And we are proposing our fiscal year 25-26 budget to be at, the revenues are at $215.4 million and program cost at $219.6 million for a use of reserve of $4.2 million. Now, this is a little bit different from what was presented at the budget workshop. At the budget workshop, our reserve use was $3.1 million. We took out revenues of $1.1 million for Rule 1180 because we are pending some further discussions with stakeholders on that, and we will bring back that revenue at a later date for the board to adopt once we know what those will be. Next slide, please. So this slide is on staffing, and it is a busy slide, so I'll just summarize it. In here, we are proposing to add a net of 5 positions, and we are showing a list of positions that are being added and those being deleted simply to get operational efficiency. And the the 5 positions that we are proposing to add are basically 4 of them in our grants area, because we have so much work going on in the grants, and we want to make sure that we maintain those grants. And 1 position is being added in our IM division to be working on the permit system enhancement. Next slide, please. And this slide is showing our 5-year projection. And in the 5-year projection, we are keeping our vacancy at 13%. We're showing an increase in our funded staffing, and that increased by 26 positions. 21 of those have been approved in the mid-year, and we're asking for 5 more right now. So a total of the positions that increased were 26 positions from, I think it was 1,008, and it's become 1,034. So, and the CPI, the fees, most of them have been increased by the 3% that CPI came at. The annual renewals and the permit fees, those are increasing by an additional 1.5%. This is the second year phase-in of a 3% increase that the board approved last year. So this is the second and final year of that 1.5% phase-in. And the governing board's policy is to keep our reserves at 20%, and we will be above that at least in the next 3 years. And with that, my portion of the budget presentation is complete, and I'll hand it off to Mike Kraus.
Thank you, Sujata.
Good morning.
Morning.
So just to kind of follow up with Sujata, along with the budget, we're also looking to amend some of our rules in our Reg 3, which is our fee regulation. As Sujata noted, we are looking, we did look at some of the requests that were being made on our 1180 and 1180.1 fees. By way of background, real quick, those 2 rules are the rules that are the fence-side monitoring rules around refineries and petroleum operations. The rule also includes the funding and operation of community monitors that have been ongoing. We currently have 10 of those community monitors out there, and because of the latest amendments to the rules, there'll be 5 new ones. However, we did get some letter of concern. I believe you guys have copies of that from WISPA, who represents the petroleum refining organizations, and we've been in talks with them on some of their concerns and responding back to them. However, that effort is still ongoing, so we wanted to allow some more time to get a proper resolution on that. So we'll be coming back with our updates to those proposed fees at a later date. However, as Sujata noted, these programs are still ongoing, so we still have staff, we still have equipment, we still have work that's being done. Thus, we still have expenses that we'll be paying, as that program continues. So that's why we will have about a little over $1 million on that expenditure, but we're unable to compensate that. So there'll be a deficit of that, and that's why, if you've looked at some earlier documents at 3.1, that's why it's being moved up to 4.2, as again Sujata had noted. However, we come back with those changes to the proposed fees, we'll be able to offset those expenses in the near future. Next slide, please. There are some other amendments to our Reg 3. There's in our Rule 320, there's an automatic bump up in accordance with the Consumer Price Index. This year is at 3%, and that equates to about an increase of $3.64 million. In addition, we have 2 other proposals we would like to make in our rules, in our Rule 301. One of those involve the distribution of a public notice. So in our Rules 212, it requires a notification to schools and parents of kids of those schools if a facility is being permitted that happens to have certain level of toxics, and it provides a notification. This is an existing regulation and requirement in our rules. But in recent years, folks have come to us and said, this is really, it's complicated, it's difficult, we don't know how to fill this out, blah, blah, blah. And our staff has been assisting them in not only preparing those notices, but also distributing for those. And now we're seeking some cost recovery for those efforts. In addition, under our WARE program, or warehouse rule, we have some reporting requirements and some deadlines. Unfortunately, a lot of folks have been missing some of that. So we really felt there was a need to kind of to put a little bit more emphasis on them applying and getting those reports, et cetera, to us on time. So we are proposing a fee if they do miss those deadlines. Next slide, please. This kind of gives you an overview of the estimation. Again, we're sort of estimating from the past activities of those folks that have asked us to prepare and generate those notices. That's how we presented those. And we're again looking at those folks that still have not fulfilled the deadlines that are required by the warehouse rule. And those are those projections as you see in front of you. Next slide, please. In addition, we've got some just sort of administrative changes. These do not involve any fee impacts, but just wanted to make you aware of those. For example, there was a clarification on our existing eligibility for folks that can submit abbreviated reporting. There's also an extension of our AER, an annual emissions reporting submission deadline. This is primarily due to the state's criteria and toxic reporting rule. And so we want to give folks more time to make sure they kind of, do that properly. And then finally, in the recent year, we've passed our 317.1, which is the Clean Air Act non-attainment fee. And we wanted to include that in 301. So there's a consistency between those fees. But again, there's no actual fee impact. Next slide, please. So our recommended actions today is to determine that the changes to our Reg 3 are exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, approve those amendments in Reg 3, adopt our goals and objectives, and adopt our draft budget for the upcoming year. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, any questions of staff before I open the public hearing? Supervisor Nguyen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to confirm is that our actual permit fee increase is 3%?
That's correct.
Okay. And then can you help me understand how our fees in comparison to our neighboring air districts? Are they comparable? Are they the same, lower, higher? Do we know? Don't have an answer. I can get it later.
Yeah.
You just give it to me later then.
I think it varies. And when you say adjacent, I think you have to compare us to the largest districts, so like Bay Area,
Or
San
Diego.
Joaquin, or San Diego. But we'll get that information. I don't have it readily off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Any other board members have questions of staff before we open the public hearing? Okay. We'll open the public hearing. Anybody who would like to speak on this item can come up. We have somebody signed up, Curtis Coleman.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm Kurt Coleman. I'm the Executive Director of the Southern California Air Quality Alliance. I'm also a member of the Budget Advisory Committee. We follow this process closely every year. And every year I come here to address the board on the fee issue. And I will say we are gratified with the direction the board takes in terms of making fee increases that are reasonable and necessary to the functioning of the air quality program here. The priority for me being here is to reinforce the importance of reducing the permit backlog, expediting permit evaluations, and filling vacancies in permitting and engineering, as outlined in priority objective number 6 of goal number 1. We're very appreciative of Chair Delgado's efforts on these issues and the board's support in addressing them. We'll continue to work with Jason Aspel and his staff to address these issues and to remove bottlenecks in the permit process. We have been assured that filling vacancies and new engineer training are top priorities, and we hope these efforts can be brought to fruition in the near term. And again, we look forward to working with the board and the staff to get these things through. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe we have a speaker online. Go ahead.
Thank you again, Pat Walsh from Apex Logistics. So, we are supportive of a number of the initiatives. We have EV drayage trucks we're using, but our biggest issue is outbound trucks that go across the country. So that's really hitting us hard. We're in our second year of the fee structure that that we belong to. And I think we paid 136,000 last year. Not small change. And certainly we're doing everything we can. Our landlord is putting up solar panels. We're doing EV trucks. We have an order in for 8 lithium battery forklifts, things like that. So we are all over this. We have a Apex Cares program that does work on CO2 emissions, especially on aircrafts, things like that. So we would strongly oppose getting a rate increase after just jumping in. And we also want to mention that during this whole process that we've been in, we've had a lot of great support from the SC AQMD staff to get us going in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Vice Chair?
Online, virtual is Bill Quinn. Bill, welcome.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Bill Quinn with the California Council for Environmental and Economic Balance, CEEB. Similar to Kurt, I serve on the Budget Advisory Committee. I always wish to express my thanks to the folks that put together your budget and this fee rule. They really do an excellent job, follow a great process, and I want to compliment them. I'm glad that you're taking another look at 1180, and I hope that also 1180.1. I think it's a good idea to go through those costs. There are some that seem a little out of line. So I'm glad you're taking a look at that. Like Kirk said, we are really thrilled that you're putting so much focus on permit streamlining and permitting. We recognize that there's the second of the 3% increase this year dedicated to the permitting team, and we support that. So once again, we really support the process and the budget and thank staff for their time in preparing all this material. Thank you.
Wayne?
I just wanted to note in comment to Mr. Walsh, I'm sure somebody was going to ask us, just note that the Reg 3 doesn't impact the mitigation fee.
Okay, great. Mayor Lock Dawson?
I just wanted to move approval when appropriate.
Okay. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak on this item? If not, I will close the public hearing.
Second that motion.
All right, let's do a roll call on the item. Okay, and that item passes. So we go to our second public hearing, item number 28. John's going to walk us through that.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, John Olvera, Deputy Executive Officer for Administrative and Human Resources. Next slide, please. So the public hearing today is being conducted to present a report on agency vacancies and recruitment and retention efforts. This hearing implements a new law, AB 2561, that requires public agencies to present this information at least once a fiscal year. Additional requirements are triggered if the vacancy rate for a bargaining unit exceeds 20%. The law also gives an opportunity to the unions to be part of the presentation, and you will hear today from the Professional Employees Association and the Teamsters. The report covers information for calendar year 2024. Next slide, please. So looking at the vacancies, we ended the year with an overall vacancy rate of 12.97%. The budgeted vacancy rate is 13%. So we are on target at the end of the year of 2024. As I mentioned, AB 2561 requires agencies to review vacancy rates by bargaining unit. So the next slide will be a quick overview of the units in our staffing. Next slide, please. So we have the professional bargaining group. They have 20 classifications. That includes engineers and chemists. The technical and enforcement unit, 35 classifications are inspectors, are instrument specialists. The Office of Clerical and Maintenance, 36 classifications, administrative assistants, fiscal assistants, our maintenance team. And then the non-represented groups are confidential management and designated deputies. Next slide, please. So looking at the vacancy rate for each of those bargaining groups or a non-represented group, none of them have reached the 20% threshold, and so there are no additional requirements for this public hearing. Next slide. In terms of our recruitment efforts for 2024, we hired 73 new employees and promoted 76. Vacancies are also filled through other means such as transfers. On this slide, I'll just note that for our open recruitments, we have been seeing good candidate pools, which has allowed us to keep up with staff turnover on an ongoing basis. Next slide. In evaluating our retention status, there were 13 retirements in 2024, and 19 of the vacancies were the result of voluntary separation. For retention, we do things like an annual employee survey, engagement activities such as health fairs and mentorship programs. We have also enhanced our onboarding and training programs. We also have our new salary schedule with the MOU that was adopted last year. And so we believe collectively these efforts have helped us keep the turnover rate in the range of normal course of business. That concludes the summary of the report, Chair, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, the PEA representative is next.
Okay. Any questions at this time before we keep going? Okay.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Brian Vlasic, and I'm representing SCPEA, the bargaining unit specific to chemists, and, engineers, and specialists, among others. Appreciate the opportunity to speak on this item and present our input to the governing board. Next slide, please. So I'm going to start out with a bit of a retrospective. 2 years ago, or a little bit more, at the budget committee, the governing board presented some questions to management about some challenges that we were having with regard to vacancies. At the time, the vacancy rate was at 20%. Management responded with some acknowledgement that there were challenges in recruitment, specifically a trend that had never been seen before, where actually job offers were being declined, and it was becoming difficult to replenish the significant rise in resignations and retirements that had occurred in years 21 and 22. We acknowledge that a lot of progress has been made in those 2 years, and certainly the numbers bear out in terms of the vacancy rate being brought down to 13%. But we want to emphasize the importance of retention so that the progress is not lost. Next slide, please. So retention is paramount to this agency in terms of effectiveness and efficiency. If we merely focus on vacancy rate and replenishing those vacancies, it's akin to bailing out the boat without plugging the leak. So we want to point out that the recruitment process, it diverts managers and other supervisors away from their primary duties. It also takes time to train staff and diverts the staff used in that training to bring them up to speed. And it takes quite a bit of time until those employees are self-sufficient and working independently. So we want to stress that retention needs to be a priority in this effort. While it's easy to quantify vacancy rates and retention rates, the factors that play into retention are a little bit harder to understand, and that's why it's beneficial that we have an opportunity to provide our input. Next slide, please. So this is an interesting slide that shows the demographic change over time. This is specific to E&P, and this was part of a presentation for the Permit Streamlining Task Force. So you can see in the first pie chart that there was a majority of people with more than 10 years of experience, and other cohorts were relatively small. As retirements increased towards 2020, it became more than half that the workforce was under 5 years of experience. And then by 2023, this number was a vast majority in that group. So this is not, of course, agency-wide. This is specific to E&P, but we can understand how that relates to the permit backlog and other work streams in those groups. Next slide, please. So we developed this chart just to show that there is a high number in the 0 to 5 years cohort. The difference between 2022 and 2025, thankfully, that a lot of those people with 0 to 5 years experience transitioned into the 6 to 10 years. So we are doing somewhat of a good job. Obviously, the biggest change is shown in that second cohort as those people stayed along, but not all of them, obviously. Next slide, please. So we want to talk about the factors crucial to retention. This survey was given back in 2023, and I want to explore the opportunity to maybe revisit this survey across the agency, because there's a lot of things that have changed. Certainly demographics have changed, but also the issues meaningful to our current workforce. At the time, telework schedule was heavily favored, but the policy has changed. So we need to see how that's working for people currently. Obviously, salary and benefits are going to be in there. The mission, opportunity to work with coworkers, and I would think that with a high degree of people with less years of experience, that career growth opportunities are going to be extremely important to them. So I think we should definitely revisit this survey. Next slide, please. So how can we improve? Of course, I've been harping on employee retention. We need to monitor metrics like turnover and retention, which are often used interchangeably, but I think you get a more holistic view if you look at both of those in line with each other. Prioritize staffing and training in groups that are falling behind. What we don't get on a top level view, like a 13% agency-wide vacancy rate, is the areas where problems are emerging. So I think that it welcomes a more focused approach to those groups that are gradually eroding away. Focus on groups with management, the governing board, bargaining units to respond to emerging problems proactively. We could solicit employee feedback and implement changes based on it, like reapportioning staff to help those groups that are falling behind. And then I think analyzing exit interview responses, it's important to understand why somebody might want to depart from this agency and the motivating factors within. So as with the last slide, these are some of the things: salary, benefits, telework, rideshare program, overtime, and of course, having a work-life balance is paramount to an employee being happy here. Next slide, please. So because we're relatively early in the year, and this opportunity doesn't really show, we're looked at 2024 data. We're just kind of setting up an expectation of the data that we want to track and future opportunities to address the board. So retention and turnover, overtime usage. We know that some groups use overtime a lot to pad through those difficult times. Look at time spent on recruitment efforts, time spent on onboarding staff and training. Let's look at employee surveys, exit interview data, and union feedback. So final slide. So this slide is just to tell you that SCPEA is interested in helping. We'd be more than happy to collaborate with any of the governing board members and certainly management, because we are connected to what takes place in this agency. So that's all I have. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. Board members, questions? No. Okay, and I think we have one more.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Nestler. I'm a chief steward with the Teamsters. This is Keith Brown, the other Teamster chief steward for the T&E. Today, I stand before you to address a pressing issue that profoundly affects our operational efficiency and well-being of our dedicated workforce at the South Coast AQMD. As we reflect the current state of our vacancies, recruitment and retention efforts, we must recognize the challenges we face and the significant impact on our performance. The burden of our high vacancy rate primarily falls on the shoulder of Teamster members, with turnover rates troublingly high and internal promotions poorly managed. As we approach the end of 2024, South Coast AQMD's overall vacancy rate stands at 12.97%, with projections indicating a slight increase to 13% for the upcoming budget. While the vacancy rates by bargaining unit remain below the 20% threshold set forth by AB 2561, disparities are evident. For instance, technical and enforcement unit is at 15.51%, while Office of Clerical and Maintenance sits at an alarming 19.37%. Divisions designed for 6 OCM staff members have been operating with only 2 or 3, while the workloads have increased by over 20% each year since 2021. The vacancy rate for the agency is at the expense of Teamster positions. Let's consider the reality of our inspectors. In 2021, with a vacancy rate exceeding 40%, we managed approximately 3,850 inspections. Now, with a vacancy rate in the teens, we have achieved nearly 6,900 inspections in 2024. This uptick up from approximately 64 inspections per inspector in 2021 to 69 in 2024 demonstrates a clear correlation between vacancy rates and operational effectiveness. However, we must confront the human cost of these statistics. In 2024, the operations group underwent a significant transformation. Key positions, including principal, air quality instrument specialists, and senior staff, remained vacant by staff shortages due to leaves of absence and training programs. Despite these challenges, our team processed over 6,000 physical samples, maintained over 225 instruments across 35 air monitoring stations, a testament to our staff's dedication and resilience. Yet we cannot overlook the toll this has taken. Altered vacations, extended hours, relentless pressure to just finish one more task have led to heightened stress and burnout. A 14% vacancy rate equates to 1 less station operator or support personnel, amplifying the workload for everyone involved. We must reassess our recruitment and retention strategies. While our current efforts may appear adequate on paper, the experiences of our staff tell a different story. Prioritizing their well-being is essential. Operational demands should not come at the expense of their health and job satisfaction. As we move forward, I urge each of you to advocate for a reassessment of our policies and procedures. Let us create an environment where our teams feel supported, valued, and equipped to perform their duties effectively, free from the burden of excessive vacancies. Instead of merely acknowledging our vacancy challenges, let's focus on actionable solutions. 1, our suggestion, update classifications. Align classifications with actual work requirements in the OCM and technical enforcement roles. Current classifications are over 15 years old. 2, adjust salaries. Ensure salaries reflect corrected classifications, recognizing the value of our employees bring. 3, uniform promotion steps. Establish a fair, automatic step promotion system based on years of experience and positive performance evaluations, creating a path for promotion. For example, if an employee in an administrative assistant 1 position for 3 years with outstanding performance evaluations, there are currently no promotions. The admin assistant 1 should have an automatic promotion to an admin assistant 2 position. This will keep our employees motivated to stay longer in the current positions, reducing our vacancy rates. 4, promotional opportunities. Foster a promotional environment for all positions beyond entry level. Current staff should be given the opportunity to promote before outside recruitment. The process treats internal and external candidates similarly, which can lead to a demotivation to current employees seeking promotion and creates an unnecessary barrier. 5, in-house training. Implement paid training programs to equip employees with necessary skills for advancement to qualify for higher positions. The agency should focus on promotions rather than new hires. Currently, new hires are equal numbers to promotions, which brings the question, why are we preferring outside recruitments rather than internal promotions? Promoting from within is a powerful way to enhance retention and boost agency morale. Recognizing tenure and positive contributions can create a culture of appreciation, motivating employees to remain with us. Imagine a team member consistently receiving positive feedback that if we offered them a promotion. This not only boosts morale, but signals to the entire team that hard work is recognized. In conclusion, while the numbers tell part of our story, our employees' voices tell the rest. Let us listen, learn, and lead with empathy as we navigate these challenges together by working collaboratively and focusing on our employees' well-being so we can transform our agency for the better. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments to the recommendations? Is that something that we take back?
No, this is just a receive and file item, and it's mostly to conduct the public hearing itself.
Okay. All right, Supervisor Mitchell.
Thank you. I want to thank the representatives from Labor for bringing forward their recommendations, and which seemed reasonable. But I just have a further question. I'm wondering if from staff, if we have a sense through exit interviews or whatever your process may be, for employees who are moving, who are leaving the agency, do we have a sense of where they're leaving to?
There isn't. We do review all of the exit interviews for those who leave, either through retirement or other voluntary separation. There isn't any particular pattern or any particular place. A lot of times they're moving to another career path, or they're moving out of the area, or their family is. There are some who have gone to other agencies like the ports. We've had one or two go there, but otherwise it's an array of different reasons.
Okay, I was asked the question because if there was a trend, wondering what those other entities were perhaps offering that we weren't. But if there's no real trend, it's not an apples to apples comparison.
There isn't, and we're also seeing folks from other agencies applying here as well. So there is a bit of an exchange there.
Got it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Supervisor Perez.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and appreciate the points made by staff as well as by our labor leaders. I guess maybe a few questions for our staff and for labor to consider on the recommendations, and that is, has there been some sort of market analysis, if you will, of these positions that demonstrate where we are in comparison to other districts and the labor force when it comes to benefits and salaries? I think that would be helpful to us as we continue to move forward. That'd be one. I also would like to just make it a point that it's about obviously respecting and honoring and valuing those individuals that have been here for quite some time. And obviously we do that by trying to meet their needs when it comes to what they're asking for. However, we also need to have a balance with ensuring that we bring in the newest, the brightest individuals that are coming out of colleges, for example, or maybe even other positions, because regardless, even if we were to promote from within as much as we possibly can, there's going to be some folks that are still going to leave and get promoted elsewhere. And we still need to think about making sure we identify folks outside our own agency and bring them in to try to, fill in the gaps, if you will. But with that said, just making sure though that, our priority should be those individuals that have been here for quite some time. Another thing that I'd like to add is, experience and knowledge is important, but so is education. That's why we go to school. That's why folks end up going to a 4-year, to a 6-year, to an 8-year university. Yes, they do. And the reason why we do is because some of us don't have certain situations as others. Some of us come from more impoverished areas than others. And education is the tool for success. And education comes in different forms. Education comes not only with a degree, but you also got street smarts. You also got smarts within the institution, within the agency. You also got education through training, through working in different positions. And so there's a balance. And I think it's important that we always try to better understand the fact that, or at least understand the fact that education is key, not only just experience and knowledge of one's position, but I appreciate education. I appreciate the fact that those that went to school, they probably need an opportunity, just like those that did not go to school, but have been around for 10, 15, 20 years that can teach those youngsters that are coming out of school, right? So understand that piece too, because when we talk about promotions, I think it's all, it's holistic. I know that I wouldn't be here in this position if I didn't go to college. That's bottom line truth. I wasn't as fortunate to perhaps have been able to find a job when I was younger without an education. And we should not dismiss that, just like we should not dismiss the fact that someone might have 10, 15, 20 years of knowledge and experience as well. It's equally as important, in my opinion. So I just want to bring up those points.
Okay, final comment before we open the public hearing, Mayor Lock-Dawson?
Hi, thank you, appreciate it. Just to our folks in the Teamsters request or comment, it seems to me to be a relatively straightforward and discrete, doable request is to do a salary survey and a reclass. Are we going to do that?
Yes, actually, for both unions, as part of the negotiations process, we agreed to do salary surveys for the Teamsters, benchmark classifications, and a full compensation study for the PEA positions. Both of those studies are in the final stages and about to be finalized this month.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right.
And Chair, I was just wondering if you wanted to hear from the public commenter before any more board member comments?
Oh, I was trying to go there to open the public hearing. So we have one speaker who signed up, Bettina Sanchez Castro. And anybody who would like to speak can speak on this item.
Hello. My name is Bettina Burley Sanchez Castro, and I work at the district here in engineering and permitting. Vacancy rates. Regular communication can make all the difference. I'm here today to express deep concern for the health of this district. Brian and John and Jennifer have gone over some data, and I will talk to you about changing our situation for the better. All is not lost here, not yet. We all know that things are going in an uncertain direction in the world and here at the district. And while we may not be able to make significant changes to the macro politics out there, we still have time to make a difference right here at the agency we are all representing right now. The community relies on us for stability, for cleaning the air that they breathe, for keeping them safe. Employees here at AQMD give their time, their hearts, their hard work every day to try to make our communities better. You can even find our coworkers participating in AQMD promoted volunteer opportunities, representing this district and helping people around our jurisdiction. I came here today to ask you to recognize that the employees here deserve to feel just as supported as they try to make members of our community feel. With the return to office mandates, most people are spending more time at the office these days. But are they feeling more a part of this AQMD community? Are they feeling included and valued by their employer? What if the answer is no? Helping people feel like they belong and that their employer has their back is easier than one might think. And I'm here to beg you to bring integrity back to the office. There are so many ways that we can start to do this. I call on you, HR, and the executive office to take initiatives to do so. Employees who feel appreciated perform better. This is not even arguable. Employees who feel heard perform better. And I'm out of time. Can I have one more minute? Thank you. Employees who are well informed perform better. Who would benefit if the district were to share a weekly or monthly summary of safety issues encountered by employees at the office, inspectors in the field, or even home safety issues that may arise? A regular summary of employee successes or information about employees who have recently joined, or equally importantly, employees who have recently left the district. What about employees' outside achievements? A normal pattern of sharing would be an invaluable tool for employee retention and promote the overall health of the agency when information is shared regularly. Consistent conversations and open communication can help people more than we even realize, maybe even save a life. Please, connected employees are key to a successful organization. Please help us by mandating that HR and the executive office actively work to increase employee engagement. Help us to promote regular, open, and honest information sharing. Please. I'm available to help, as most of my colleagues are. Thank you for taking the time to.
Thank you for your comments. I have a few hands raised. Board members, would you like to speak? Or those older, because we have one person online. Okay. Why don't we, anybody else would like to speak on this item? It's a public hearing. You don't have to sign up. Okay, we have somebody online.
Online, Madam Chair, is Al Sattler. Al, you've got 2 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Hello. Very, very quickly, I just want to express support for the staff who have, from everything I've seen, done a great job. We filed a couple of odor complaints, and inspectors come out very, very quickly and dealt with it very, very competently, professionally. In my previous life, I was a chemist, and I, visited your labs a couple times and was very impressed. And always appreciated working with your people there. So again, thank you to all the staff at the AQMD, and also appreciation to you board members who you spend so much of your time here. I yield back the rest of my time.
Thank you. All right, with that, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. Supervisor Perez?
Just very quick, I'd like to add that I definitely fully support what was just stated right now regarding communication. That is key. In any organization, sometimes we do better, sometimes we could do much more. It's difficult. Let me give you an example. I'm talking about the county of Riverside, where we have 22,000 staff. There's no way that I can go around and talk to everyone. I try to meet as many people as possible. But, you have other staff that meet with them on an ongoing basis that get reported to. But the point, though, at the end of the day is that there needs to be some sort of dialogue and a safe space for that dialogue, where people feel like they can actually have that dialogue and be okay with it, and be okay with being at odds at times. And being okay with saying, you know what, I support you, and let's figure this out together. And so I learned a long time ago that the more communication there is in organizations, the stronger they are. That is very, 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 very real. And there's different ways to communicate. Maybe a newsletter, maybe through emails, just going around in the morning and going to different departments and just saying hello. As an executive or even as a union leader, just going around and knock on the door if that's allowed. I'm not sure if it is, of folks at the executive level and saying, hi, I'm here and I'm here to be helpful if you need me around. I just think there just to be some sort of reciprocal engagement of ensuring to each other that we value this organization, right? And my hope is that by valuing this organization, we can have open lines of communication so we can do better and we can do more for our constituents. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I encourage staff to think about ways to do that. And you probably already do some. Maybe it's time to take another look to see what else exists. Maybe open it up to see, get in that survey, maybe ask the folks themselves, what was it that you'd like to see that you feel more comfortable with communication?
Thank you. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Supervisor, I support you 100%. I know we've got a great executive staff. We've worked with them for years. I know we've got great employees. the Teamsters, professionals, et cetera. So I think this can be hashed out. I just, my experience, I'm looking at these numbers, 15.51% technical enforcement, almost 20% office clerical. As a frontline deputy at Caltrans, deputy attorney, 10 years, attorney general, 20 years. I was in situations during the ebbs and flows of hiring where I saw at a 20% where people were just leaving. They couldn't take the stress. You went from 50 cases you're handling against all these different departments, Bureau of Automotive Repair, contractors, nurses, doctors, chiropractors. And you go to 80 cases and you can't do it. People are getting burned out. So I don't know. And so this goes to my question, John, maybe. I know we're sensitive and we're all working hard. We're all meeting the demands where other agencies at the federal level aren't doing it now. So there's a lot of pressure on all of us. John, I'm seeing it, our cities, I'm not sure, maybe from other county supervisor and city, when we have openings, like say fire, police, it used to be, we'd have hundreds of applicants. Now we've got a handful and then half are unqualified. Fire, we used to have several hundred. We had an opening recently for like a dozen. One was qualified. Miscellaneous employees, we're down. We're just the last couple of years losing people left and right like here. So I don't know what the other cities, counties are like. But John, is it because, why is that vacancy high there? I'm just curious. I know your salary survey, we've done salary surveys, but many of the cities I represent on the AQMD board are going through the same thing. What is your perspective?
So some of the vacancies in the OCM and the T&E bargaining groups are leaving for promotions. A lot of these vacancies are at the office assistant level or at the inspector level, and so they're becoming senior office assistants, admin one. Sometimes they're moving from one bargaining group to another. So there's part of that, which is good, the promotional aspect of it. There is also a part that there is a 13% vacancy rate, and so there has to be some positions maintained open. And so the departments will prioritize what they need to and figure out which positions can better absorb the work of those vacancies rather than others. So usually the higher level positions are filled first, and then we go to, then we come to the other ones. But it is an ebb and flow, as you said. We currently have, looking just at the Teamsters, an inspector recruitment going on right now. We do intend to hire some new inspectors in the near future. We do have an office assistant, a senior office assistant, a fiscal assistant. Those are all OCM positions. So we are, as I said, as those vacancies come open, usually because of promotion, we do refill them again. And so that is our continual effort to look at the balance of all of the different priorities.
Madam Chair, one more quick one. With regard to telecommuting, telework, I'm looking at other private, public, people are tending to come back to work more. I know the federal government, especially you're coming 5 days a week and you're firing half the people. So what is your sense about that? There were some comments made today about telework, and that was one of the highest percentage that people were concerned about among employees I saw in the survey.
The revised telework program was implemented effective April 1st. All the employees have submitted their telework applications. Actually, Ron's IM team developed a online form portal so that it made things very easily to be reviewed and submitted and then implemented. So we've seen very good response to the program. We haven't, there's some folks who I'm sure would still like to telework more than the policy allows. But for the most part, everyone has been, I think, getting used to their new schedule. And and a large number of people were already doing a 1 or 2 day in telework schedule. So there really wasn't a change for them either.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Thank you. I really appreciate the thoughtful comments made today. We are here making policy, but we don't see the implementation without the world-class staff and team that we have here. It was very clear that there's a desire for us collectively to be coming from a place of empathy and trying to really understand the perspectives shared today. And all I would like to see is, as was said earlier, is some intentional, planned future discussion where the thoughtful recommendations can be put on the table in a respectful way where there could be some honest and forthright dialogue. And that, again, these were very impassioned and thoughtful recommendations. So I'd really like to hear the results of the dialogue from these recommendations today and come back and report on some areas of change. How can we not only have the best world-class staff, but also coinciding with the best world-class culture of affirmation and also feeling that there's an opportunity to be rewarded and promoted, and also keeping that pipeline of new talent coming in and collectively trying to address the retention challenges. I think we can do all of that, but we can only do that if we have a dialogue and not just a file and report and we're moving on. So I would just ask colleagues that in light of everything that was said, if we could have some type of future report on how those conversations are going and if there's some recommendations that came out of that. So it's not just status quo moving forward. Thank you.
All right. And Councilmember Rahman.
Thank you. And I don't want to belabor the discussion, but I did, I know this was done as a result of a new Assembly bill requirement, but I did want to say I really appreciated hearing from the two bargaining units that came today and the challenges that you've been facing here. I know we've had the opportunity to hear from some of you in the past when we've had discussed other issues, but to talk specifically about vacancies and retention, and also to hear your perspective on what we should be measuring to really measure employee satisfaction. As a board, we don't always hear that perspective. So I just wanted to thank all of you for coming and thank the staff for their continued engagement in refining the metrics that we're using to really ensure that we're doing the best we can to recruit staff and maintain the best workforce possible. So thank you all, and I look forward to ensuring that we're able to address some of the issues that were brought up today. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem McKellen.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I agree with my colleagues' comments. I know we manage our budget sort of by managing the vacancy rate because of the costs. We have a world-class professional organization here, and we try to recruit world-class professional people, but we've also got to remember that the professional people can only do their job as long as they've got support. And the support people, represented by the Teamsters, are just as valuable and important. And we need to strike a balance there if we don't have that. So I would encourage us to look at that and take to heart the comments that were made by the Teamsters and also by the individual who spoke over here. Thank you.
All right, great comments, board members. We've closed the public hearing and received and filed that report. That takes us now to closed session, I believe.
Are we going to have a presentation on the one item on 26?
Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't think we were going to have quorum for closed session if we did that report.
Okay.
And so we've skipped it. We will bring it back. Apologize for not saying that out loud.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. So with that, we'll go into closed session.
It is necessary for the board to recess to closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9A and 54956.9D4 to consider initiation of litigation. San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District v. Set and Pistachio of Carabella, 5th District Court of Appeal. Number F088471, amicus brief is also necessary for the board to recess to closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2 to confer with counsel because there is significant exposure to litigation against the South Coast AQMD. A report of any reportable actions taken in closed session will be provided to the clerk of the board. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.